Fly. My name is Ben Coyle, Director of Training here at RAB. My job today is to help you understand a little bit more about our Lightcloud Blue mesh network lighting control system. With this system, there's some key features built into this system that help productivity and labor savings. And as I go through, I'm not going to tell you everything about how the features and benefits, all the different components, but the ones that really stand out as a way of making Lightcloud Blue an easy system to use. The first thing that we have here is a couple different key features. I want to focus on two of these key features. The first one is the fact that with Lightcloud Blue, there's no gateway that has to be purchased, no hub that is required. So you don't have anything that plugs into the wall or that needs to be powered by a line voltage, which reduces the overall cost of the system without needing that gateway or the hub. The next thing that I have here is our app. We have routinely had customers in class, contractors, distributors that have used extensively the different apps that are out there on the market for Bluetooth mesh network lighting control systems. And there's a hard way of quantifying this, but the quality says that ours apps is the easiest app to use. Over and over again, people say it's so unbelievably simple to set up, commission, and control your system. It's really straightforward. And we take the parts and pieces and the different components and you put them in, even though they have different form factors for the fixtures or the different form factors for the occupancy sensors or even the dimmers. Inside the app doesn't really care about the fact that a high bay looks a certain way or a wall pack. All it sees is a load, and then the settings are actually the same for all those different types of fixtures. The other thing that I want to kind of focus on a little bit is these three bullets that you see on the right, but graphically show you what's going on with the system in terms of its capability. So you sign up and you create an account, a username and a password. Well, within that account, you can have up to 64 sites with 600 devices per site. Each area inside the space, you could have 64 areas per site with 200 devices per area. Now, if you have a warehouse or maybe a conference room where you have multiple loads, you might burn through 64 areas rather quickly. So we've provided for those conditions where you have a conference room and you're trying to create a variety of different scenes, or in a warehouse where you have a bunch of aisles that you're trying to set up with occupancy sensors. We have 15 subgroups per area. That expands the ability and the flexibility of the system so that you can get very granular control within especially a warehouse type environment. So what that really means is with the Lightcloud Blue system, with that 600 devices per site with 64 sites, one account can control up to 38,400 devices. You look at our competition, there's nobody that even comes close to this. And all you have to do, if you come up with a limitation of the 64 sites, usually you're a super user. If you've gone through 64 sites, you sign up for a username and password. I currently have 5 different email addresses, which works out to be like 192,000 different devices that I could potentially do if I created a couple different accounts. So 38,400 devices per account makes it super flexible. Now, another thing that makes our system quite powerful, in compared to the competition, when our phone or anybody's phone, I don't care whose phone it is, goes into commission a system, there's a couple limitations. So that phone that has the app on it is not part of the mesh network. It is a device that needs to communicate with that mesh network. And because of the way that the phones are designed these days, most phones have a limitation of about 30 feet between the device, between the phone and the device that you're actually pairing or you're adding to the system. So this is the way that it works with our competition. Phone is inside the space, they hit pair, and what happens is the phone then says who wants to add, and they have one fixture that adds one at a time. Now, if there's a lot of fixtures inside the space, you might actually have a condition where one of the fixtures times out, and you'll have to actually press the button again to add in those last couple of devices. Then you have to move a certain distance away, hit that pair button again, and do that over and over again. With ours works quite a bit different, and this is actually a patent-granted process that we have in terms of pairing our devices. Instead of having 100 fixtures bombard the phone and say, please add me, what happens is our phone talks to a specific device. So in this case, I have my phone talking to the SR strip. That SR strip then says, hey, who out there wants to add? Up to 99 other devices can then tell that SR strip, please add me, please add me. And then the phone, instead of having to deal with these 100 different devices trying to add to the system, those 99 devices are feeding to that SR strip and loading the information into the phone sequentially. This is what we call rapid provisioning, simultaneously bringing in 100 devices within minutes. The productivity and the savings there of somebody sitting there on the phone going from space to space is greatly reduced. With this type of a scenario, you could actually have a fixture hundreds of feet away, because as long as they're part of that Bluetooth network and each one of the devices are within 60 feet of each other, I could be sitting in one room and have devices that pair in from hundreds and hundreds of feet away. Another thing that we have with our Lightcloud Blue devices, we have the option of having RGBW. So with RGBW, what that means is you're actually getting two devices in one. A device that creates monochromatic colors or 16 million colors if you want to create an effect. And on that same exact device, you have the ability to do what's called white tuning. So in this case, might be as low as 2200K, maybe as high as 6500K. These devices that you're going to see right here are all devices that have 5 chips on board: a red, a green, a blue, a cool color, and a warm color. So that's the cool color, maybe 65. It might top out at 5. And a warm color, 2200K, it might limit, or the bottom of the limit might be 2700K, or maybe even 3000K. So we have A19s, BR30s, PAR lamps, 4 and 6 inch retrofits, downlight retrofits, 4 and 6 inch wafers, along with 2x2s, 2x4s, and 1x4s that all have RGB, 16 million colors, with full control over the color temperature based upon that cool chip and the warm chip that's on board. These are the ones that have that duality in nature from an indoor standpoint, but we also have some fixtures that are outdoor that can do this also. So with this X34 that you see here, this actually has 4 sizes, from a small all the way up to an extra large, that gives you that more commercial look for a floodlight that gives you white tuning along with RGB color. A really cool one that we have is a more of a landscape type flood. This actually has 6 dimensions of field adjustability built inside. 3 that are mechanical, so you have the knuckle, that's always been there. You have a hood that goes around the very front of the unit that you can actually turn it and block the light. It also has a dial that makes it from a spot to a narrow flood. So you have these 3 different ways of changing the optics, blocking the light, or angling the fixture to where you want it, with 3 ways of mechanical adjustments in the field. It's a dimmer with Lightcloud Blue, so you can dim it up and down. You have that white tunability, and you have that RGB control. That's where you get your 6 dimensions of adjustability with this LFX. We also have this RGBW technology built into our slot, our tile, our mushroom, and poof. And just recently, we actually added this to a cylinder category. These cylinders that you see that are either surface mounted, suspended, or wall mounted, which are IP65 rated, which means they can be used indoors or they could be used outdoors, have that RGB technology built in inside. So much so that even with the app, at least the wall units that have the up down, inside the app, you have the ability to have just up light, just down light, or have up and down light adjustment in those. So extreme amount of flexibility with these RGBW products. Now, getting into our product portfolio to kind of understand how broad our range of products are. If you look at our competition, they might be really strong in one little aspect, We have the strongest, the widest, the most depth of any Bluetooth mesh network system that's out there. We have all of these lamps that you see here. These all have Lightcloud Blue integrated right inside the unit. These ones right here, post tops and high bays and shoebox fixtures, these have a little module that plug in that allow it to be connected to the Lightcloud Blue system. So we do have lamps that make a good step into the Lightcloud Blue system. We also have retrofit lamps, we have wafers, commercial downlights all the way from 4-inch to 10-inch. We have some discs, some surface mount products, and some curved products that all have Lightcloud Blue integrated inside the unit. Now, we do have some other components that are used. We see these controllers on the left, and specifically, I want to help you guys understand the benefits of this line voltage controller, this low voltage controller, and this one that I call a screw-in controller plus sensor. We do have occupancy sensors by themselves that plug into those controllers. And we have a couple different ways that we can interact with the system with controls, remotes, keypads. Specifically, I do want to focus on a couple of dimmers. We have a couple dimmer families. I want to focus on our ZDIM and then a specific product inside the ZDIM family. And you'll see the benefits, the labor benefits and productivity benefits that in that family shortly. First, I want to start with is our extended range, extended wattage or higher wattage line voltage controller. For this guy right here, this is only two. So we see one's for white housing and one for black housing. So we actually have a standard range version with standard wattage that goes up to 400 watts. This one is an extended range for between the different devices and is available up to 8 amps. So with this, because this is a line voltage product, it is compatible with any fixture. We realize and know that we don't make every fixture, but we want to make it possible that every fixture could be connected to a Lightcloud Blue system. So with this compatible fixture, as long as it's within this one specifically, 120 feet using obstructions outside, 200 feet direct line of sight, and that it is less than 8 amps at 120 or 3 amps at 277, this product can be put on a huge number of fixtures that are out there so that they can be controlled by the Lightcloud Blue system. Now, I do want to point out, with this controller, there is a relay inside and there's a dimmer inside that allow you to be able to turn on and off and dim and up and down that fixture that it's controlled to or connected to. So we see right here how it might be connected. Specifically, this controller is on the knockout of the back end of this EasyPan panel system that we see here. But that controller can be used and installed in an electrical box somewhere else, as long as you don't go above the limitation, the current limitation of the device. With our Lightcloud Blue low voltage controller, we have 4 versions of this. We have a standard range and we have an extended range. So this is 120 feet outside with obstructions, 200 feet direct line of sight. What's different about this is this requires a fixture that is 0 to 10 dim to off with a 12-volt output driver. For the past 18 to 24 months, virtually every fixture that RAB has launched, both indoor and outdoor, has one of these drivers. So if the driver has the relay that turns the fixture on and off, and it has the dimmer inside, why would you buy a device that has that and you would have redundancy? You'd be buying equipment that you don't really need. So if we notice here with this low voltage controller, and the fact that the relay and the dimming components are inside the actual product, this allows this product to have a much lower cost that can then be connected directly to the fixture. You could do it out in the field. We typically would do this in the manufacturing facility. You buy it from us with this already installed, but this can literally go on any fixture that is a dim to off fixture with a 12-volt output driver. It's installed in a knockout, just like before, except for this one, it's specifically designed to go on an individual fixture. because it has that those wires that go directly into the driver. The next one that I have for you are our low voltage sensor plus controller. With these guys have all the same features as the previous two, but with this, you actually have an occupancy sensor built inside and a daylight harvester. With that daylight harvester sensor and the occupancy sensor, if you want to, you could turn both of those off and have this just be a controller, or this occupancy, or daylight harvesting, or all three connected. With these guys right here, if you notice the little threads, these thread into a fixture. So with these, I have 8 different versions. So I have a white housing and a black housing, that's 2. My passive infrared versions are on the left, my microwaves are on the right, so now that's 4. And if you notice right here, we actually have 2 different heights. We have one that's for 20 feet, mounting height of about 20 feet up in the air, which gives a nice broad distribution of the sensitivity pattern. Or we have a 40-foot version that has a little bit tighter, so that in a higher application up to like 40 feet or up to 50 feet, you can get good coverage from that distance up. So that 4 then becomes 8 different versions of this. And the way that this works is we use a right angle arm support that we see there on the left on this SR strip that we would install at the factory, and then you could then take the sensor and screw it right in. Or we have hundreds of fixtures like this H17 on the right, where you take the little knockout out and you screw this directly into the unit. How simple can that be? Remove a knockout, screw in a sensor, you're 100% covered with an aux sensor, daylight harvesting, and a controller, fully integrated for the entire unit. The last component that I want to talk about before we talk about our portfolio, even the bigger picture of our portfolio, is emergency battery backup. So with a battery backup, the NEC requires that you have to do a monthly test of 30 seconds. So that's usually pressing a little button for 30 seconds to verify that the unit is actually turning on when power is removed, because that's all that's doing, is it's removing line voltage from the unit. It also requires that once a year that you run the device for the 90 minutes. Well, our Lightcloud Blue enabled battery backup have the monthly and the yearly test automatically performed inside the system, inside the Lightcloud Blue app. You can enable that. And what happens is you put in your email address. When it runs the test, it'll send you an email with the result of the monthly test and the result of the yearly test, greatly simplifying wiring of having a button down below or having to figure out how to get yourself to that button to make the press. This literally, all that labor, all that headache, all that management goes out the window. Out the window because this device actually does it for you. So if we look at these 4 components that I just talked about, there are different ways that we use them to integrate into our fixtures. We see the high bays up there. Most of those use that screw-in low voltage controller. Same with the seal, the whale, and the shark, the washdown fixtures top right. The panels and troffers in the middle, sometimes those are used in battery backup applications, and you might need a UL 924 shunt. So with a UL 924 shunt, you need to be able to switch between normal power and generator power. And when you do that, you need to be able to break both the line voltage and the low voltage side. So sometimes with those panels and troffers in the middle, we use the line voltage controller, which allows you full control, full requirements for that UL 924 device for that shunt. If you don't need that shunt, then we would use just the low voltage controller in these ones in the middle of the panels and troffers. Then down at the bottom with our strips and wraps, we have a variety of different ways that we interact with those devices that I spoke about previously, along with some that are kind of integrated right into the unit that snap kind of right into the housing to make these strips and wraps Lightcloud Blue enabled. Now, again, these components, these kind of 3 components that I talked about, line voltage controller, low voltage controller, the screw-in controller, are used also in our outdoor fixtures. So we see wall packs and we see area lights, sconces, bollards, floodlights, canopy lights that all have such a simple way of having Lightcloud Blue integrated right inside the unit with most of these, actually all of these are done with the low voltage one, because all of these devices have the dimmer and the switch built right into the driver. And so you can use that less expensive unit right on the housing to make it work. So kind of going from our indoor, outdoor, and lamp fixtures, I want to spend a little bit of time talking specifically about some dimmers that we have. Now we have a family of dimmers called the XDIM. Those are the dimmers that actually control load. So either 0 to 10 volt control or trag dimmable. So you have an XDIM that line voltage comes into it, and then that switch tot goes out to all the different devices that are being dimmed up and down from a triac standpoint or from a 0 to 10. So that's the XDIM. If you want that XDIM on a 3-way or maybe even a 4-way, the traditional way of doing that would be taking wires from that XDIM and running those wires across the room to the remote that's on the other side, and you have to make sure that you know which wires they are, and you have to figure out the best way to run those wires over to that remote on the other side of the room. And if you have a 4-way application, you actually have 2 separate devices that you have to install, and you have to make sure that the wires go to the correct device at the correct way inside the circuit. That's a lot of time, a lot of effort making that work. These ZDIM models are designed specifically to be installed onto the wall that perform the exact same function as that remote, but no traveler wires are needed. So these guys need 120, 208, or 277, which means you can steal power from the fixtures up above, bring it down to these models. You can steal 120 volts from the socket up to these guys. And literally you could have, you know, that XDIM dimming the load up and down on this side of the room. And on the other side, you could have 4 of these models sitting out there, and you can literally have a 5-way application where these guys are actually dimming and performing the exact same function. They look the same. They behave as if they have those wires connected, yet they're not. So I want to specifically call out one model of my ZDIM, and it's this one. It's called the ZDIM SP Lightcloud Blue. This guy is a self-powered device. So what's interesting about this guy is it has no wires, so there's no wires to connect to it, and it also doesn't have a battery. What happens with this is it's actually self-powered, and as you press the button, enough electricity is generated to power the electronics inside. Well, with that power electronics inside, what has to happen is there needs to be another device close by, what's called a proxy device, that this self-powered ZDimmer sends the command to that proxy device, and that proxy device then sends it to the rest of the network. Because this is self-powered and it doesn't have any, it's not storing electricity or anything like that, it falls asleep once the command is sent. So with this ZDIM, because you have no wires, you have no battery, you can literally install this thing on a piece of metal, a steel pole, a girder, a brick wall, a cinder block wall, and you don't have to worry about running conduit to that dimmer. You don't have to worry about an electrical box drilling inside and trying to run electrical hardwired or line voltage to get to this location. In an extreme case, I mean, really, you could take this guy, put a big, huge piece of Velcro on the back of it, put it on the wall, and it'll work perfectly fine. Granted, it might disappear, it might not stay up the entire time, but take this, get a couple masonry bits, screw this to a brick wall, screw this to a cinder block wall, makes it so that you can have that third location, or that 3-way location on a surface that typically would take a lot of effort to get a dimmer mounted in that specific location. So last I want to talk here, since we talked a little bit about the features of the app, I wanted to talk a little bit about some case studies, some people that have used Lightcloud Blue. Specifically, the Richardson School District had ordered some product from us, had it installed, then they said, hey, what's this Lightcloud Blue system? Why don't you send us a couple of components? And so we actually sent them components. They found it so unbelievably easy to add the devices, to make the what's already installed in the ceiling, that they said, hey, you know what, we want to add more fixtures to the system. And so they actually bought lots more products, 28,000 devices across 70 different campuses directly from us. The real advantage here for the school district, it was easy to install, the ones that were already in the building. Once the fixtures came with the Lightcloud Blue installed, taking the old fixtures out and putting the new ones up, it's hot, neutral ground, right? It installs just like any other fixture. It would be just an absolute simple retrofit, right? And they really liked the app. The app was so unbelievably easy to use. It was easy to pair. It was easy to manage. And they've had a lot of success. Other places have actually taken our Lightcloud Blue system and used it in different bays. Here at Rider University, big gymnasium, they wanted to separate it into 3 separate locations, 3 separate areas, and give the people within the space the ability to control the lighting in that specific bay. So with this, we put Lightcloud Blue on these hay bays up in the system, full control, very happy, very successful with this solution. Some other places, we've done really well with manufacturing and warehouse type spaces. Here we have 1,200 H17s. This location didn't have the internet in the main part of the manufacturing area by design on purpose. They did not, because of the machinery that they had, they didn't want any internet out there. So when this was commissioned, they went out to the space, and because this is not connected to the internet, they could go out into the space, get it all commissioned, all set up. You do have to take the phone back to the office area, connect it to the internet, so whatever was programmed, whatever was configured can be uploaded to our servers so that we can help any type of application after it's been installed, or maybe recover a system if needed. So they absolutely loved it. So unbelievably simple. Doing that, pairing 100 devices at once made it so unbelievably simple to pull these 1,200 devices into the system, get them working properly. The Drager's Dairy Farm, I'm not sure of the science behind it, but they use these to create 2 different bedding methods to mimic sunrise and sunsets with different schedules. So basically they did smart shift circadian lighting for their cows, so their cows would be happier, more productive, and produce better milk using the Lightcloud Blue system. Kind of another, maybe a little bit more of a niche type application. Here we have this grand ballroom. They wanted to be able to control over 2,000 sources with a press of a button. These chandeliers had quite a few lights in each one. If you remember, I said that you had a limitation of 600 devices per site. Well, how do you control 2,000 in a site? I mean, this is one site, it was one ballroom. So we actually worked with them on a variety of different ways. We've given them a couple different solutions, and it's evolved over time. Currently, they're using a Lightcloud gateway system with what's called a dimmer bridge, allowing the Blue system to have some of the functions and features that the big system that we have, our Lightcloud enterprise-based system, full control over that. And we redid the app for them so that they could actually kind of skirt around that 600 device limitation. Some other maybe slightly unique way of using Lightcloud Blue. Toyota have these light fixtures inside their painting booths. Cost a lot of money to replace the fixtures. They wanted to be able to have full color control over their fixtures, but not replace the actual fixtures. So they bought 3,300 of our Type B lamps that's running line voltage directly to it. And they have some science here that allows them to know when they're painting red or green or blue. They dial the color temperature to a specific CCT to help identify defects in the paint. So pretty amazing, using existing fixtures, adjusting them to help their manufacturing process. The last one that I have here is even more unique. This is SeaWorld in Orlando using 300 Type B lamps. This again was a scenario of they wanted as little disruption as possible, so they wanted to keep their existing fixtures. What did they do? They used the Type B T8 lamps, fully CCT adjustable, but instead of trying to figure out defects in paint, they decided that they wanted the dolphins to have a circadian type lighting system that changed in color temperature and light output throughout the day. So SeaWorld has actually implemented circadian lighting for their dolphins to mimic what's happening outside in the sunlight where the dolphins are. So thank you for letting me talk to you today about the Lightcloud Blue network lighting control system. Hopefully I've helped you get some appreciation for the app, how versatile it is, how simple and easy to use with that 100 device pairing, bringing it in minutes, super quick, along with some pieces of hardware that we have that make life simpler, make it so that you can have the Lightcloud Blue system expand beyond what you see on our website to more fixtures that we have at RAB, and potentially those cases where we don't make antler chandeliers, but you can still control antler chandeliers or crystal sconces with Lightcloud Blue. So thank you for attending with me today, and we will see you in the future.